Hi, and welcome to Thursday's edition of me trying to be King of Kong. And it's going slowly, but we're making progress every episode, which is what we aim to do. So in this episode, we're going to be using timers to create that effect of the platforms going down. And then hopefully we can look and see either ladders or Mario or Jumpman and how we're going to create that. So let's get started straight away. So we can see so far if I press the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 buttons, it does that wonderful effect at the start. And we want that to be something that happens naturally without me pressing anything. So I'm going to do a new condition, and I'm going to say if the time is equal to a certain value, and we'll say 4 seconds, 2 seconds, and it's going to start our first one going down. And what I probably want to do is I probably want this on a loop rather than saying, oh, if it's equal to 2, let's just try this first, and then we'll know that I want it equal to a loop at some point. So we've got the first one. Is that the first one? I hope it is. Second one? Yeah. And we're just going to hard code it depending on what seconds it's on. So in the 5th second, where are we up to? And we need to put these in. 1, 2, 3. These were all the same, weren't they? So it'd be 4, 6th second, and then the 7th second it'll be 5. Let's run it, let's see. So now. So these were the wrong way round. Always good. It'd be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's run it now. So 2, 3, now. Now the problem with doing this is, first of all, it's loads of lines of code. Secondly, it's really clunky. Like if I suddenly want there to be, 10 split seconds between them, 10 milliseconds between them, I've got to change every single one each time I change my mind. So this really is not the best way of doing this. There are a number of different things. What we can't do is a fast loop, because a fast loop would just rush straight through all of these. Fast loops are instant. So we do need there to be a timer. There's a few different ways I could do this. What I normally do is have an active, and it will be my data active. And I've done these before. I love data actives. They're great because you're not using up your global spots. And these are literally, I just have these to store data. I'll call this one data 1 or data plat. Plat data. This will hold all of the data for the plat. And what I can do is I can introduce the alterable value, and it could be something like plat counter, or plat counter or something like that. Okay, so what I can say is every second, and then insert the platformer, the value, alterable value is greater than 0. So every second that the plat data is greater than 0, and that is equal to the plat data, plat counter, then I want to do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of these, because these are junk. And all I need to do now is so when we want it to start, So when we're 3 seconds in, I want to set the alterable value of plat counter to, is it 5? So when plat counter's 5, this will kick in. Now we also need to subtract 1 from the plat counter. And we actually, so subtract from the plat counter 1. So this will kick in, it will do it 5, and then it will do the 5th one, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So what we need is 0. So what I'm going to say is if it's greater than -1, and we're going to start it at -1. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to set this as -1 at the start. So it's not started. Okay, maybe this will work. We'll see. So nothing at the first, and then after 3 seconds, it starts working perfectly. How cool is that? Now I should move this on top just for semantics. So after 3 seconds, I'm going to set the plat counter to 5. This will only happen when the plat counter is greater than -1, which it starts off at -1, so it won't happen at the start. Then every second, it will subtract 1 from the plat counter, and it will set all the ones with alterable value the same as the plat counter, which starts off at 5. It will move them to the right position. So it will start up at 5, then it will move the plat counter to 4. Then a second later, it will do it with 4. Then it will move it to 3, 2, 1. Then it will go with 0. Then it will subtract 1 from 0, which will be -1. Now this says don't do this unless it's greater than -1, so it will just stop. How cool is that? Now, if I'm sneaky and I go, okay, but 10 seconds, let's do it again, then bad things will happen. So after 3, so it'd be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, perfect. And then it'll be, oh, they're going down further. Oh no! So we want to make sure we only call this once, that plat counter only happens once. And the way we know that is that the timer will equal 3 seconds. Now sometimes I don't particularly like having timer equals because life doesn't work that simply in games, especially on weaker hardware. You can't guarantee that everything's going to be ready at 3. So it could be after Donkey Kong does 3 stomps, then we do it. But for a simple game like this, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue doing timers. But you should always make things depend on something else rather than the timer. Anyway. So, cool. Now, I think it's too slow. I can imagine Donkey Kong stomping. I think he climbs up. We're not going to do that in this. But looking at this, I want this to be quicker. So all I need to do now is just change it here. So we'll do it at half a second. How easy is that? And now suddenly it's every half a second. 1, 2, 3. 4. That's better, isn't it? And you can tweak this. It's one value, and that should always be your rule when you're making these games, is that there should only ever be one place where these values are. And that's why I create data objects, is it shows me that's the one place all of the data is regarding platforms. Okay, now we've got a whole load of stuff here we can get rid of. Get rid of that. So I've just highlighted it and hold down Shift and then deleted it with the delete key. Is there anything else here? Well, we're not using these anymore. So we'll get rid of this. This is just debug stuff. So what I could do is create a group. I could just call it debug. And the reason I do that is at the end of the project, when I want to release it, I can just first of all test it with this deactivated, which I think you double click on the group to deactivate it. So active when frame starts, I get rid of that. Check the game still works, and then just delete the debug when I release it. How simple is that? Cool. Well, so far we've got 13 lines of code. I could probably trim that down even more if I really wanted to. but that's pretty darn good. To 13 lines of code, and we've got the platform sorted. I want to have a look at doing the ladders. I think the ladders are going to be the next part. So we can see that I'm going to ignore these middle ones, these middle ladders, and the ones at the top, although we probably need this one. But looking at this, we can see that each platform has a ladder on the left or the right. And the position of it is 2 before the end. So we need to figure out, first of all, we need to draw the ladder first. We need to figure out the best way of drawing it. And I don't think it's really consistent about these ladders. I might use this one at the top because I think it's quite a good analog for what the normal ladder should be. So I think it's like that would be the 8x8. But I don't know whether these are 4x8 and then stacked on top of each other, because they're not, as I said before, they're not really that consistent, which is great. It gives the game definitely a look. So I might do an 8x8 ladder. It's really difficult because this one here starts with 1 pixel at the bottom, but this one here starts with no pixels at the bottom. So yeah, I don't know whether it starts level with the yellow tile. Let's have a look. I feel I could spend the next hour and a half investigating this, when actually it's probably best I just get going with it and ignore the issues. So let's do an 8x8 ladder. I don't know whether this is going to be right, but we shall see. So go to my active. 8x8 would be is it 24x24? And let's draw the ladder in. So get rid of all this, delete, and I don't know what colour do I want the ladder? Blue. Now how many? So there's 3 pixels between slats. Yeah, I think that's going to be too much room between the slats, isn't it? So what we can do, and we're going to do this with Mario, is we can create this in an 8x8 and then make it larger. I think it's going to be easier to do that. So, I need to do it by 8x8. So it's really tiny. Ugh. And I'm going to do this with 1 pixel. So the sides of the ladder is 1. Let's just... So there are 3 gaps. 2, 3. So do I start with a line? 1. So 1, 2, 3, and so it would be this one here. Is that the best way of doing the ladder? Who knows? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. Always make sure... No, I'm going to clone that. Made that mistake how many times? You clone that, so I've got the original. Now we need to make this bigger, so we can just go 24, 24. But if we look, we zoom out, it does weird things, and I think that's anti-aliasing and all that hoodoo. So we need to undo that, and we need to make it bigger in here, I believe. Size, and we want it just to stretch it and be proportional. So we get the nice, beautiful pixel art if you do it this way. So if you do it outside and you just do it straight and apply it straight to there, it will do anti-aliasing, like resampling. So it will have it will add extra pixels to match the colours. So if you've got a red and a blue next to each other, it will insert some reddy, bluey, purpley colours between them. We don't want that when we enlarge pixel art, otherwise it just makes it look weird and kind of blurry. So we do it in here and we say don't resample it. There we are. I found another opportunity to talk about something. So don't forget the hotspot, top left, so we know where it is. Wicked. Now comes the fun, because we've got to figure out where it's going, and that is just going to be tedious, probably. I don't know whether just to always put it, I don't know whether to do it during the loop and say, oh, if that's a loop there, just bung a ladder on top. That might be easier, question mark. Or just to put them in, just to work out where they go, and then just put them in, which I think might be less tedious. So I'm going to work out where each of these ladders are, and I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to hard code the positions in, because I don't really see any kind of realistic pattern to this, especially for these middle ladders here. So I think they're just put in position. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back to you. I may have spoken too early. Just looking at these, there are 33 pixels between the top bits. Well, I suppose we could do the bottom bits. Yeah, so there are 33 pixels between each of the bottom bits. So we could try and do a loop. Let's try and do a loop. So start a frame, and we call it the side ladders. Loops are good. If we can do a loop, that's brilliant. It's much easier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be 5. Okay, and this actually might be a good opportunity to show some other bits. So we're going to create the ladder. So the x coordinate will be, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4 lots of that. So it'd be 4 times 8 times 3 for the left hand ones. And then the y coordinate, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. And we might do it at the bottom left. Ooh. So it'd be 5 times 3 for the y coordinate. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all ladders at the bottom left, because I think that might be easier. Oh, hotspot, bottom left. I think it might be easier to start at the bottom and work our way up with ladders. I mean, we shall see. And I'm completely not getting the y coordinate right, because it's that from the bottom. So what I can do is I can say it's the frame height minus that. That should be okay. So we've got the x coordinate for these two and then the y coordinate for this one. We're getting somewhere. Okay. So we might just say, well, let's do the left ones here and the right ones here. That could be what we do. Now, how are we going to say I want every other one to be this one? Well, we can say compare two general values. We can say the current loop. Where are we? Fast loop. So the loop we're on, which is side ladders. And we're going to use the mod. I'm going to say mod 2 is equal to 0. And we're going to do the same thing here, but mod 2 equals 1. And so for these ones, we're going to be on the right. So let's put a thing in here. Now, if you don't know what I've just done, don't worry, I will explain it. So these ones are the right ones, and these ones are the left ones. I might as well just do 2 loops, to be honest, but I kind of want to show mod and what that is. So what mod is you imagine you've got the number and you're dividing it by 2. It will be the remainder. So if it's 0 and you divide it by 2, the remainder will be 0. If it's 1 and you divide it by 2, the remainder will be 1. Okay, so it's a way of switching the loop to be this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. Why I'm doing it that way, I have no idea. I may have lost my mind a little bit during this. So if this is going to be the right one, let's just do some quick maths to find out where it is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so 22, 23. So this could be 23. So edit. And so it will be 23. And that's looking good. Ish. Okay, let's compare that to Photoshop. So it's at the bottom, which I don't know why it's at the bottom, because I thought I changed the hotspot. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, I've changed it to the bottom left. So I don't know why it's showing at the bottom of it. It's showing down here. That must be an issue with the Y coordinate. Let's have a look. Frame height of 5. Oh, it should be times 8 times 3. Oh no, it shouldn't. I've just undone that. So frame height times 5 lots of 3. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then we need to subtract a block as well. So that'd be take away 24. It's still not high enough. Oh, it is now. But it's not quite in position, is it? No, it should. No, that's right. It should be there, but it's in line with this one. So, and this is where it's a bit of trial and improvement, probably. So, the Y coordinate isn't quite right. Let's try 4. Yeah, 4 looks good. And then we need to do another one on top of that. So I don't know whether to then just do it beneath and say, so we want it up, so that would be minus, and then the height of it is 24. Let's see whether that works. Yeah, so we've got a nice ladder going there. And we need another one. That's a lot of ladders. So minus another 24. Could just times that one by 2, but anyway. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. I might set up 2 loops, like a left-hand ladder loop and a right-hand ladder loop, just because it's sometimes you just go that this needs to be this needs to be 2 loops. You realise you've made a mistake, and you go, okay, I've made a mistake. So it needs to be 3, because there's 3 left-hand ladders. And you just say to yourself, I've made a mistake. I'm sorry. I've done this wrong. And we don't need to use the modulus function anymore. Although the modulus function is pretty cool. And then we need to adapt this. So the x coordinates are fine, but we need to then subtract the fast loop index of that times, and then I think it's 50 is between each of these. 66. There you go. So 66. So times 66 times 3, because we are scale factor 3, and we're going to have to do this for each of them. And let's see whether that's got the ladders going. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okie dokie. So I need to do the left hand ones. Why have I written left ladder when it's right? That's really annoying. That's worrying as well, to be honest. Pride myself in being able to tell left and right. But c'est la vie. While I'm doing that, I'm probably going to pause it and just do the left-hand ladders off this video, because again, I try and show you everything I'm doing, but equally there's parts of it that are incredibly boring to watch, which is probably what this part is as well. So I'm going to pause it, and I'm going to have the left-hand ladders done. Okay, boring part over. So I've just done the same thing here. For the height, for the Y, I've just done 38 times 3, because it's 38 pixels from the bottom. And then I've done the same for this, but just shifted it up 24. And the same for this, shifted it up another 24. So it's exactly the same as I've done for the right, but I've done for the left. I don't particularly like this. There could be a loop here to create these other two. It could be a loop within a loop, or a nested loop, which would make more sense, to be honest. But anyway, let's not worry about that. So let's test it, see whether it works. On the actual game, these ladders don't show up until you start playing, so it looks kind of weird at the start. But something we notice is that these are shown here, but on the actual thing they're hidden. And what we can do is we can draw the ladders first, and then have the black kind of hard coded into the graphics here. So let's do that now. So we don't need to have the alpha channels in. So what I can do is I can put the background here black. I can also do that to the frame. Background on frame, but I will need to I want a quick backdrop so that I can see the counter. Let's see whether this works. Okay, so the problem is that the whatever's created last goes to the front. So we just need to say always and bring ladders to the back. So order, bring to the back. And you can see that they're kind of hidden beneath the things. And that looks a lot more convincing. It looks a lot more like Donkey Kong. So yeah. I think we're gonna kind of stop there for now. It's been another mammoth one. Oh god, half an hour again. Tomorrow's, I think it's Friday tomorrow. So Friday's episode we will make Mario, or Jumpman, whatever you want to call him. so that we can actually have someone navigating this platformer now. So I'll see you then. Thank you very much.